Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. As you guys come into the room, please do hit the like button. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing okay. I know that I am. I always express the importance of hitting the like button because the like button helps to keep the video in the algorithm. So make sure you guys please like, share, subscribe, comment, and all of those great things, okay? You guys, this morning I want to talk about a Baton Rouge man is has been accused of raping a 94-year-old woman. Okay. This young man has had trouble in his past. It has left that community in Baton Rouge outraged. They said that this was the oldest lady on their street. um, the community looked after her even though she was 94 years old. She kept herself busy, was out in her yard, and the community said they just always, them, the kids, I was reading, everybody always made sure that this lady was cared for, because she still liked to, I think oftentimes when people think of like 94-year-old people, they think of somebody that's just bedridden or just waiting to go on to the upper room. But you have a lot of um, older people that keep themselves busy, because it keeps them alive, really. I have a 80-something-year-old grandfather who still runs his tree business, even though he can't climb up on the trees anymore. He's like 86 years old. He's out there with his workers each and every day. Okay. And he says it keeps him alive. Okay. It keeps him, my dad and my aunts and uncles used to say to him, "Dad, why don't you just retire?" It's like, if I retire, I know for sure I'll be going on up to the upper room. I enjoy getting up every morning and going out there with my workers and just training them, making sure they're doing everything right. Not micromanaging, but it just keeps them alive. Same thing with this young lady. This young 94-year-old lady, she's not was 90 is 94 years young. They said she liked to be out in her yard, you know, um, in her making, just working in her yard. And everybody in the community knew, this is a 94-year-old lady. We got to check on her and make sure, okay, that she's okay because she's up there in age. And you got this young man who decides to prey on her and violate her and did the very ultimate. Okay, let's check out what the I team says.
Whoa, Q, nice TV. Yeah, it's the new TCL QM9K. Ultimate performance, vivid.
Hold on, you guys. Let's let that commercial push on first. Okay. Make sure you guys hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe as we waiting for. Okay.
94-year-old woman raped right here in Baton Rouge. Tonight, Baton Rouge police say they worked through the night to identify their suspect and arrest him. Our chief investigator, Chris Nakamoto, is here now with what neighbors have to say about this, who, as you can imagine, are stunned, and what may it's unspeakable, really. A 94-year-old woman raped right here in Baton Rouge. One, very tough one. It's unspeakable, really. A 94-year-old woman raped right here in Baton Rouge. Tonight, Baton Rouge police say they worked through the night to identify their suspect and arrest him. Our chief investigator, Chris Nakamoto, is here now with what neighbors have to say about this, who, as you can imagine, are stunned, and what may make you even more mad is the suspect's troubling criminal history. Chris.
Good evening, Greg. Jeremiah Taylor is no stranger to law enforcement. In fact, he was just released from jail in January for a slew of other charges. Tonight, neighbors on East Black Oak Drive near Park Forest and Sherwood Forest are stunned. Jeremiah, did you rape a 94-year-old woman?
No.
What was that?
No.
You didn't do that?
No.
So So what is this?
I don't know, man. I don't rate no about it, man.
Wearing handcuffs and only speaking with profanities, 22-year-old Jeremiah Taylor is accused of the unthinkable. Investigators say he raped a 94-year-old woman who lived on this street in Baton Rouge in broad daylight. Neighbors are stunned and say the woman always was outside, tending to her yard, and the neighbors all looked after her.
It's just horrible, the devil, Satan is busy, and it is just bad. Stuff like this don't usually happen around here. And, everybody looks up, that was a sweet woman.
It's sad. It's shit, nothing like that be happening in the neighborhood, really. That's sad. That's sick.
The WAFBI team first report Taylor's troubled past with arrests for rape, burglary, unauthorized entry, all within the past 2 years. The WAFBI team found his most recent arrest was dismissed by District Attorney Hiller Moore's office, allowing Taylor back out on the streets. The frustration palpable for detectives who repeatedly see the same offenders over and over.
It is a source of contention. It is a source of frustration on our department and with our officers. Why this is happening is some questions that I would love y'all to ask the rest of the judicial system.
Following yesterday's rape, detectives worked quickly, putting photos out on Crime Stoppers Friday morning, and the community responded with an incredible amount of tips.
Within just minutes of us releasing those photos, public reached out to us and was able to give us information about the location of the suspect, arrest the suspect.
You still can walk around. That lady ain't even gonna ever be right again after this.
You're lucky you didn't catch him. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow.
Chief Moore says the evidence is overwhelming as this investigation continues.
When you're looking at one of the most vulnerable parts of our population, the elderly, to take advantage of them in this way, horrendous, unacceptable. I don't know what word you really use. I'm really dumbfounded to try to explain it.
Sources tell the I-Team the victim in this case received some pretty serious injuries, including broken bones during the attack. Taylor is locked up in the East Baton Rouge Parish Jail with no bond this evening. For the WAFBI team, I'm Chris Nakamoto. Greg.
Yeah, this is sad, and it's happening. It's been happening, something like this happened in Memphis recently. Several different situations like this happened in Memphis, and it's starting to happen more and more. A 80-something-year-old woman was violated by 3 young men, I believe all under the age of 25, late last year. No, not late last year. That was recently. As a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago. I'm thinking about another situation where a situation happened in North Memphis with a 60-something-year-old woman late last year, where she was going back into her house in North Memphis in the apartment complex that she lived in. And I think he was 29 or something like that, years old. As she was walking into her house, this lady was on a cane. As she was walking into her house, he pushed her pushed her down, and violently assaulted her. A couple weeks ago, same thing happened to her 83 or 84, where 3 young men in Memphis, all under the age of 25, violently attacked this lady. They essayed her, with sexual A, so bad that they broke her ribs. I mean, they broke her hip. They said that it broke her hip because they decided they want to have her legs up so high, like she's a stripper or something. while they were assaulting her. Just, you know, just tore her up. Okay, just evil on a whole nother level. And I have to say, it makes me feel good when I hear young men that are sane say he's lucky we didn't catch him, because that's unacceptable. But I think the reason that some of these men now find it acceptable, or they just kind of brush it off, is because in their mind, deep down inside, they have the same type of animalistic type behavior, and they hate women, okay, because they had some type of hate for their mother, okay. And oftentimes some of these men hate women because they can't live, they have to be with women to put on a facade. They don't know how to come out of the closet and live their own, be their true selves, right? I guess they feel like society accepts heterosexual relationships more, and so they're forced to be, with that thug mentality, or want to be thugs, but they feel like they can't be a thug and have a boyfriend, so they have to be with a woman, and so they put her through hell. Or they see older women and they have mother and grandmother issues, and they're sick, or they have been violated by the opposite, by the same sex, um and it messes up, they're confused with their sexuality, and it makes them monsters, right? Either way it go, this stuff like this can't be happening, and it has to be handled one way or the other, okay. And so it makes me feel good when I still see men in the street that say this right here should not have happened, it can't happen, and if we had gotten a hold to him, we'd have handled it, okay? And which should be some type of justice one way or the other, okay? And I don't know what is going on in this world, but I moved on to, I saw where a lady in Cleveland, okay, is being charged for a situation that happened for unaliving her two daughters. Not a situation, it's the worst. This is another thing. One of the worst that could have happened. Okay. Um. Okay. Her name is Aaliyah Henderson. Okay. Um. And she's being charged. Her two daughters were found buried on a schoolyard. Okay. And was found by a pedestrian. Her daughters were 10 and 8. Okay. And she has been charged with the unaliving of them and burying them on the schoolyard. And I kind of want to give you all the backstory of this. It says Cleveland police charged Aaliyah Henderson in the unaliving of her two daughters after their bodies were found buried in two suitcases near a Cleveland school on March the 2nd of 2026. Family members identified the half sisters as Amore Wilson, 10, and Mila Chapman, 8. The two suitcases were found buried about 25 feet apart near Ginn Academy in Cleveland's South Collinwood neighborhood. Cleveland Municipal Court, Jeffrey Johnson set a bond of $2 million. Okay. Now, I want to let you all hear this story. Okay. Um, yeah, I want to let you all hear this story of, because they said they look for these children. And I don't know if she was involved. I'm sure she was, because the father said that they were all searching for these kids. Hold on one second.
Has been arrested for murder and child endangering, charges expected, we understand now, at any moment against Aaliyah Henderson.
So who is Aaliyah Henderson? What is her connection to the case? Colton Molesky spent the day looking for that answer. So Colton, what did you find out?
Brian, Nicole, Cleveland police have said only that the person they arrested is a 28-year-old woman. They're not releasing her name until she is formally charged. Jail records show a 28-year-old named Aaliyah Henderson was arrested for murder and child endangerment Wednesday evening. Law enforcement sources tell 19 News her arrest is connected to the death of the girls. And neighbors say that Henderson lives in the East 162nd Street house that was searched by police. So what do we know about Henderson? Here's the mugshot of Aaliyah Henderson. Records from the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office show she was booked into the county jail just before 8:30 Wednesday night. And this is the only time she has been booked into the jail. We dug into her background and found Henderson does not appear to have a criminal history. Court records show Henderson was evicted in 2022 from a Park Hill address. The landlord accused her of not paying rent from September to November of 2021. In her lease document, it shows Henderson reported living with 2 girls. Going back further, records show Henderson changed her last name in 2017. Here is the birth certificate showing the name Aaliyah Brannick and paperwork of the name change to Aaliyah Henderson. As for Cleveland police, the department has not come 28-year-old later in the day. Now, I've also reached out to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District to see if Henderson or the children listed in her old lease ever attended Cleveland schools. Again, Cleveland police have not yet officially charged Henderson, but sources tell 19 News her arrest is connected to the investigation. In the newsroom, Colt Molesky, 19.
Okay, you guys. Now, okay. She has had her day in court. It looks like Aaliyah Henderson went to court a day ago. Okay. And here's the full video of that. Well, she has not had her full day in court, but she went for a hearing. Okay. And she just looks stoic. Okay.
This is Aaliyah Henderson. She has 2 counts of aggravated murder.
Good morning, Ms. Henderson. All right, so we're going to first hear from, regarding your bond, we're going to first hear from the prosecutor from the state and regarding charges against you, charges that you are presumed innocent, on charges that allow for you to have an attorney without costs. And after we hear from the prosecutor, we'll hear from your attorney, okay? Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is an allegation of murder in 2 separate charges. It's alleged in this matter that the defendant did cause the death of her 2 daughters, 8 and 10 years old. The badly decomposed bodies of the 2 little girls were found in shallow graves in Cleveland in suitcases. Your Honor, the defendant is 28 years old. She scores a 1 and a 1 on the PSA, has no record noted on the PSA. Your Honor, based on the nature of the allegations and the charges in this case, I would ask for nothing less than a $2 million bond. I would implore the court to consider setting a $2 million bond, cash surety at this point, for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Public Defender.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Henderson is waiving the preliminary hearing on both cases, and I ask for the most reasonable bond you can give her.
Tell me a little more about her that you know.
Judge, she's been in jail for days. And as you've seen, the public safety is
History, 1-1, no history of violence, no convictions, no charges. Given the nature of the allegations, as well as my concern for the safety of the public, we will deal, the bond will be $2 million. Ms. Henderson, work with your attorney, go to your hearings, and fight for your innocence, okay? Good luck, you take care.
Well, I'm glad that he made her bond $2 million. She's sitting there stoic. Her family, what would make a mother unalive her 2 children? Okay. I want to go back to this site to see if I could read more about. I don't think they've said at this point how the children were unalived, other than they was just buried. Okay. But let's see if we can read a little bit more about it, because the family has shared pictures of the 2 beautiful babies. It says family members identified the half sisters as Amora Wilson, 10, and Mila Chapman, 8. The 2 suitcases were found buried about 25 feet apart near Ginn Academy in Cleveland's South Collinwood neighborhood. Cleveland Municipal Court Judge Jeffrey Johnson set her bond at $2 million. These are the babies right here with family members. The judge cited concerns for the public. We just heard that. Henderson was surrounded by a half dozen police officers in the Cleveland Municipal Court on Friday. These are the 2 babies with her family members that was found, that she unalived and was found buried. So sad. They were so beautiful. Look at them. It says family members shared a photograph online that shows the half sisters smiling with their mother and grandmother. So I'm assuming this is her right here with the wig on. She looked different in court. So this is her right here with one of the babies. At a doctor's appointment, and so this was back in 2019. The 2 girls were not reported missing. Deshaun Chapman, the father of Mila Chapman, has searched for his daughter for weeks. For 5 years, he tried to get custody of Mila. He was informed on Wednesday that she was deceased. Chapman is seen in a photo at the site where there is now a growing memorial of flowers and toys for the girls. Mila was happy-go-lucky, always smiling, Chapman told a reporter. He said Mila's favorite color is pink, and she swore that she was a princess. She was always happy. Police removed a child from a residence in the 700 block of East 167th Street, where Henderson was arrested on Wednesday. So there was another child that she had. The child appeared to be in good health and is in custody of the Department of Children and Family Services. So she took out the 8-year-old and the 10-year-old, but there was another child there. It's alleged in this matter, the defendant did cause the death of her 2 daughters. The prosecuting attorney, Christine Travellini, said in open court on Friday the badly decomposed bodies of the 2 little girls were found in a shallow grave in Cleveland in suitcases. A local man walking his dog on Monday evening found a suitcase in a shallow grave at a playground. Philip Donaldson said his dog pulled him towards a mound of dirt. He saw a suitcase half buried in the pile of dirt. He lifted the bag out of the loose dirt, unzipped it, and discovered a hair. She stopped. It was like a pile of dirt, and she stopped to sniff, and she was taking too long. So I went back and looked, and it was a suitcase suitcase that it was a head, somebody's head in it. Donaldson told a reporter. Okay, here is the let me see. I don't know who this is right here.
Well, I
Let's
took
see.
my
This
dog
may
out.
be
I
the
was
man.
walking over across
This
the
was the
street,
man that's out walking
and
him down.
she stopped. It was like a pile of dirt, and she stopped sniffing. And I usually just walk, and she catch up with me. And she was taking too long, so I went back and looked, and it was a suitcase that was like half buried. And I pulled it up and looked in it. It was a head, somebody's head in it, and I immediately called the police.
Wow. It says Cleveland Police Chief Dorothy Todd said Tuesday she did not know how the girls was unalive. Their bodies had been buried for some time. These were two young lives with their entire future ahead of them. Todd said our detectives worked tirelessly and with great care to identify those responsible. Investigations of this nature require patience, precision, and discretion. Unlike what is often portrayed on television, every detail cannot be shared publicly. This is a traumatic event for our officers and for the community, Todd added. This is just a tragic incident. What happened? What made this woman, okay, do this to her children? And we got to believe that she did it. She did do it, okay? Because she did not report them missing, nothing. Okay. Um, oftentimes we say people flip out, and they lose their head. Um, no, you got to think there's some type of craziness, but now a lot of this stuff, people are just low down. This lady is standing there stoically. Okay, she is stoic. And the father said that he had tried to get custody of his child, one of the fathers. So there was a reason for that. Okay, why he couldn't get custody of his child, if this is true. Did he have himself together? I don't know. But if he was trying to get custody of him, of the child, I'm gonna look into that to see if there's any paperwork that was ever filed or anything like that, of him trying to get custody of his child. Like, but they looked into her background. It does not seem, and it's hard. It's kind of hard to get paperwork from, as it relates to that DCS stuff. They really keep that type of stuff private. But she was never arrested for any child abuse or anything like that. It doesn't mean that DCS was never called out, but there was some reason that he wanted custody of his daughter. But why didn't he get custody of it? Because people say, well, I wanted to try to get custody of my daughter, but they be lying because they never started the process. But evidently, there's something that he knows. He would have been in the inner circle at some point, hey, either way it goes, you look at her, it looks like she has no remorse at all. She went on with life as usual. How come her family, um I don't know. There were no searches because they had to try to figure out who these little girls were. And the father said he had been searching for his child for weeks. So, hey, this is weird. It's gonna be. I'm sure there's a lot more to come out. Does she have a boyfriend in the house? That um did this, but it seems like to me it's still, regardless, she's responsible. Okay, not one time did she try to, if was the case, try to get help or anything like that. This lady, how did these girls die? What happened? It is such a shame that more and more people are taking out their children. Okay, everybody does not deserve to be a parent, and that's the God's truth. Life is so beautiful. We think about how it's such a blessing, to have children, and they are, but everybody does not deserve that gift, because look at her, especially people like her. Okay, anyways, you guys, I just wanted to talk about that. I want you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you could definitely support the channel via Cash App.